January 12th, 1943. Rabaul, New Britain. The morning sun glows over the island airfield as a formation of Japanese Zero pilots prepares for another sortie. Their leader, Lieutenant Saburo Kume, stands beside his sleek A6M0, its white paint still gleaming. Across the Pacific, rumors had reached them. The Americans were testing a new fighter, a heavy, bent-winged beast that looked more like a flying barn door than a warplane. Kume laughs as a mechanic hands him his flight gloves. A plane that big? It'll never catch a Zero. He climbs into his cockpit, certain of the truth he's always known. Japanese craftsmanship, Japanese agility, would always outfly American steel. Meanwhile, half an ocean away, on a test runway in Connecticut, a young U.S. Navy pilot named Lieutenant Sam Porter throttles forward the experimental F4U Corsair. The massive Pratt & Whitney R-2800 double wasp roars like an unleashed storm. The gull-shaped wings flex under the strain. But as the Corsair lifts off, it wobbles dangerously, its nose too long, its landing too rough. The tower radios. Corsair Dudek, you're coming in hot. Watch your drop. Porter fights the stick, sweat running down his neck as the plane slams down and bounces once, twice, before finally settling. The engineers groan. It's fast, yes, blisteringly fast, but too unstable for carrier decks. The Navy's verdict? Too dangerous for ship landings. And so, for now, the Corsair is grounded to the land-based Marines. The Japanese laugh at the rumor. A plane too heavy for its own ships. What kind of fighter is that? But within a year, that laughter will die out over the Pacific skies. February 13th, 1943. Henderson Field, Guadalcanal. The air is thick with the scent of fuel and red dust. Rows of F4U Corsairs, still wearing their glossy navy blue paint, sit under makeshift palm shelters. Marines of VMF 124, the first squadron to receive the new fighter, prepare for their maiden combat mission. Captain Kenneth Walsh, a quiet but confident pilot, checks his aircraft. Bureau number 02153. The mechanics have painted her nose with a white skull, half as a joke, half as a prayer. Walsh had heard the same doubts that echoed through the Navy. Too fast for the deck, too heavy for the sky. But out here, there are no runways long enough for fear. The order comes through. Enemy raid inbound from Bougainville. 70 miles out, prepare for scramble. Engines roar. The Corsairs leap forward, their huge propellers whipping up coral dust. As Walsh climbs through 12,000 feet, he spots them glinting dots in the rising Sunday Zeros. Dozens of them. The radio crackles. Corsairs break formation. Let's see what these birds can do. The first pass is chaos. Zeros dive, their wings slicing the air with eerie precision. Walsh banks hard, feeling the Corsair's raw torque yank him sideways. He squeezes the trigger, 6 Browning. 50 calibers thunder to life, shredding through the thin aluminum of a Zero's fuselage. The enemy spirals down in smoke. Good hit, Kenny. But another Zero latches onto his tail. Walsh throws the Corsair into a roll, feeling the G's crush his chest. The Zero overshoots, and with a brutal twist of the throttle, Walsh fires again. Another kill. When the Marines land, the runway is littered with shell casings, and the radio fills with stunned disbelief. 8 Corsairs had downed 15 Japanese aircraft, for the loss of just 2. The Corsair's reputation begins to change. It's no longer the flying barn door. It's the whistling death. The Japanese give it that name for the high-pitched scream its engine makes in a dive. And for the first time, Lieutenant Kume and his fellow pilots in Rabaul received troubling reports. Beware the new American fighter. The one with bent wings. June 1944. Truk Lagoon. Caroline Islands. The Pacific War is burning at full intensity. Japan's island empire, once unstoppable, is now under siege. American carriers sweep across the ocean like floating fortresses, launching waves of aircraft day and night. On board the USS Bunker Hill, Lieutenant Sam Porter, the same test pilot who once wrestled the Corsair's controls in Connecticut, stands ready for launch. The deck crew signals him forward. The new landing gear reinforcements, the improved visibility canopy, and the smoother hydraulic system have transformed the Corsair from a problem child into the Navy's most feared weapon. Porter pushes the throttle to full. The Corsair's engine howls, and the bent-wing bird soars into the blue, heading for Truck Japan's once impregnable naval base. High above, the sky erupts with anti-aircraft bursts. Porter leads his squadron into a formation attack. Below, Japanese installations burn. Ships sink, and the lagoon turns black with oil. But then the call comes through. Bandits, high 3 o'clock. Zeros dive from the Sunday. Porter banks right. The Corsair's power is overwhelming. It climbs faster than the Zero, dives harder, and hits like a hammer. His 6 Brownings roar, and a Zero disintegrates in a blaze of fuel. Another tries to roll out, but the Corsair follows effortlessly, its gull wings slicing the air like scythes. In minutes, the battle is over. Radio chatter fills the airwaves. Scratch 3 zeros, no losses. The new birds eat them alive. Below, Japanese sailors watch helplessly as the once proud Zero fighters fall from the sky. Lieutenant Saburo Kume, now stationed at Truck, stares upward from the runway. The sound he hears is like a scream, that haunting whistle of the Corsair's engine. "So this is the monster we laughed at," he mutters. He knows the truth now. The days of Japan's aerial dominance are gone. The whistling death rules the skies. And by the end of 1944, the kill ratio tells the story: 11 Japanese aircraft destroyed for every Corsair lost. But the war is far from over. The final test of the Corsair's legacy will come over the blood-red skies of Okinawa. April 12, 1945, Okinawa. The horizon is smoke and flame. Allied fleets filled the sea from end to end, hundreds of ships pounding the Japanese homeland's final defensive line. Above them, swarming through black clouds, come the kamikaze. Captain Kenneth Walsh, now a decorated ace, sits strapped inside his Corsair aboard the USS Bunker Hill. The radio blares constant warnings. Incoming bogies. Multiple contacts bearing 085. Kamikaze inbound. He tightens his harness, his gloved hands steady on the throttle. Below, sailors scan the sky, praying the whistling death lives up to its name. The first wave appears glints of sunlight on white-painted Zeros, their cockpits filled with pilots ready to die. Walsh pushes forward. The Corsair leaps off the deck like a predator freed from its chain. The engine's scream splits the sky as he climbs through tracer fire. At 8,000 feet, he spots them 20 kamikazes diving straight for the fleet. He calls to his wingmen, "We take them now," before they reach the line. They dive together. The Corsair's speed is terrifying, over 400 miles per hour. Walsh squeezes the trigger, and his guns tear into the lead Zero. It explodes mid-air, scattering debris like shrapnel. Another kamikaze breaks formation, desperate to hit something, anything. Walsh pulls up hard, the G-forces threatening to black out his vision. Then he rolls, fires again, and the second Zero vanishes in a fireball. For the next hour, the sky above Okinawa becomes a deadly dance, Corsairs weaving through flames, hunting suicide planes before they can strike the fleet. By the day's end, Marine and Navy Corsairs claim more than 300 enemy aircraft destroyed. The once mocked bent-wing bird has become the guardian angel of the Pacific. As dusk settles, Walsh circles the fleet. The ocean below is dotted with burning wreckage, both friend and foe. He radios back to the carrier, "This is Skull Leader. Area clear. Returning home." When his Corsair touches down, the deck crew waves, cheering through the smoke and salt spray. The whistling death has earned its legend. In Japan's crumbling war rooms, surviving pilots speak of the Corsair in hushed tones of its speed, its strength, and that unearthly sound that filled their final moments. "When we heard the whistle," one recalled years later, "we knew the gods had abandoned us." By war's end, the F4U Corsair would tally more than 2,100 enemy aircraft destroyed, with an astonishing 11-to-1 kill ratio. The plane that was once too dangerous to fly from a carrier became the fighter that ruled the Pacific sky.